Welcome. If you are so eager to join the hunt and become the master of the survival, you're in the right place. Grab your spear, grenades and crossbow and hop in for the ride. Enjoy. Alright guys, first and foremost let's take a look at the talent trees. The hunter tree begins with kill command by default, which is our bread and butter damaging ability for the survival spec. Next we take kill shot, of course. We then improve it with some more critical damage, and we also take post haste, which basically gives our disengage dispel effect, movement dispel effect, and of course increases our movement speed by 50% for 4 seconds, so very nice mobility skill. Now we take muzzle, which is an interrupt and natural mending. Every 12 focus you spend reduces the remaining cooldown on acceleration. This basically allows us to heal more often, and yeah, we do spend a lot of focus, so this helps a lot with sustaining yourself. Next we take survival of the fittest with the actual nature's endurance. What it does is actually make it that we get a 40% reduction defensive cooldown. That is very nice, and this is like the first thing we should use when we are getting focused and train just reduce that incoming damage. We also take Tart Trap with entrapment improvement, which basically makes our Tart Trap not only slow enemies inside, but every enemy that first approaches that basically triggers the trap gets rooted for 4 seconds as well. This is nice for kiting, for running away and stuff like that, so nice to have. Also we pick up the tranquilizing shot, which is an enrage and magic effect dispel, nice to have from time to time. Born to be Wild reduces the cooldown of aspect of the eagle, aspect of the cheetah, survival of the fittest, and aspect of the turtle by 20%. So basically all of our significant cooldowns are reduced. Camouflage, very nice, especially for BGs. You are basically stealth for 1 minute. You do have to keep in mind that the cooldown actually starts when you leave the stealth, so you can be stealth for 1 minute and then you have to wait another one when you exit, basically, just to get the cooldown rolling. So be sure to know that you can be like in stealth forever. Rejuvenating Winds is nice because acceleration heals us for additional 20% of the maximum health over 8 seconds, so additional healing. In here we have two choices basically, scatter shot and binding shot. I usually for BGs take binding shot because it's just nice to have some AoE stun, and on top of that, scatter shot basically shares diminishing returns with freezing trap, which basically means that usually one or the other will have half duration, so just prefer to have this one. And in here we have high explosive trap and intimidation. This is also a personal preference choice, but I usually tend to go with intimidation. Like 5 second stun is very long and you can basically get somebody down within that period of time, so always nice to have. But if you like to have some fun in BGs, high explosive trap is good to go as well. Then we pick out the binding shackles, which basically means that binding shot or not high explosive sharp, scatter shot, or stunned by intimidate. Basically every CC we use also reduces the damage they deal to us by 10% for next 8 seconds. So this is very nice for PvP, just to reduce that incoming damage as well. And then we take those two nodes. One is critical strike chance and master marksman, which basically makes our critical strikes also bleed enemies for some of the damage dealt, so some very nice additional dots. And here we take Arctic Bowler, which can hit up to 20,000 frost damage. It gets even higher with the PvP values, so very nice to have. Also slows applies very minor slow on the end target, but damage what's important. This is Mongoose Bite, which basically means that it's our main like spender and main ability for damage, so it's good to have some additional modifier rolling. In here we also take Death Chakram, which basically is a very nice damaging ability with some more physical damage increase. In here we take explosive shot. It not only deals amazing single target damage, because even in tooltip you can see 45,000, which is crazy, but this is also AoE, so you can do some crazy cleave damage with this. In here we also take Serpent Sting, of course, and in here we got two choices. It depends. For BGs, usually Hydra's Bite is better because you can apply some more AoE pressure with this. Easier, like 2 global cooldowns, and you can have like 6 Serpent Stings rolling already. It also increases the damage over time, which is nice to have on top of that. On the other hand, the Poison Injection is actually more single target, and when you find yourself kiting a lot and you know that Poison Injection can stack up to higher amounts, then this one's probably way to go, you know, because if it's stacked it can deal like 25,000 damage on the first Mongoose Bite you do, although over the period of time, you know, it makes it harder to actually stack to higher amounts, so you basically end up hitting those Mongoose's bites that are just powered out by 2,000 damage, so not that significant. Honestly, you can get the same amount of sustain damage from Hydra's Bite, and on top of that you also apply it on more targets, so this is usually the way to go. But if you like that more single target focus build, then Poison Injection, which should be good to you. And the last point basically goes into serrated shots, which increases our bleed and poison damage, and it increases even more when targets are below 30% health, so in execution phase. Now let's get into the survival talent tree. First up is Raptor Strike, our bread and butter, which will be turned into Mongoose Bite, but we'll get into that soon. Wildfire Bomb as well, very important. Tip of the Spear, kill command increases damage over the next Mongoose Bite by 25%, stacking up to 3 times. This is nice because when we are kiting we can stack this up very nicely to like 2-3 stacks, and then, you know, when we engage actually our enemy in front, we have this Mongoose Bite bonus damage ready. Next up we've got Ferocity. All damage done by a pet is increased by 10%. Flanker's Advantage, kill command has additional 50% chance to immediately reset, because, you know, kill command has some chance to reset itself from itself, so this is nice to have. Heller's Harpoon at the enemy, basically, which is nice, is our ability skill, and also it roots enemies in place for 3 seconds. So very nice and powerful. This can be used very nicely to pull to the healer, and then when he is rooted, just put the trap on top of him, you know, just to be sure that you can aim it correctly. Aspect of the Eagle basically makes our Mongoose Bites ranged for 15 seconds, very nice cooldown. Bloodseeker, kill command causes the target to bleed for 4,000 damage, and also you and your pet gain 10% attack speed for every bleeding enemy within 12 yards. This also casts for other people bleeds, so it can stack up very nicely when we play with like rogues, ferals, or armed warriors with Ren and stuff like that. But on top of that, that extra bleed for 8 seconds from the pet is nice, for example, to not allow rogues or, you know, mages to disappear from you. So very useful talent. Next up, Guerrilla Tactics. Wildfire Bomb now has 2 charges, which is quite important, and the initial explosion deals 50% increased damage, so very nice AoE pressure from this. Lunge increases the range of your melee attacks and abilities by 3 yards. This is not mandatory, but it's nice. If you want, you can switch it up with Intense Focus just to get more generation from the kill command, but I like to have this extra range on my spells. Next we take Mongoose Bite, which basically replaces the Raptor Strike. What Mongoose is differentiating from the Raptor Strike is that it also stacks a buff that adds more damage to you, but it is not refreshed every time we use it. So when you start spamming those Mongoose Bites, you want to go till the very end, you know, you just want to spam, use your all focus to get as many Mongoose Bites as possible within that 14-second window. So basically this is doable while also weaving in some kill commands to regenerate focus. So What's also good about it is that kill command also increases the damage of our tip of the spear, so usually it's not really that possible to stack five stacks of Moongoose Bite and 3 stacks of the tip of the spear, but I believe that the damage would be crazy at that point. Next up, Spear Focus, just increased damage to our Moongoose Bite. Flanking Strike, very nice short cooldown that deals plenty of damage, and it also generates focus. And this is like an 18-yard charge, so it basically, when you use it, you also charge to your enemy, which is nice to have for mobility. Improve Wildfire Bomb, next up, is of course damage increase for the bombs, which is also nice. Sweeping Spear, Rapid Strike, Moongoose Bite, Butchery, card damage increase, so another flat damage increase. Tactical Advantage, damage of Lightning Strike is increased by 10%, and all damage dealt by Wildfire Bomb increased by 8%, so another pure damage increase. Next up, Killer Companion, Kill Command damage increase. So as you can see, like Survival Hunter tree may not seem like you know, very exciting with some crazy stuff in it, but some of the builds are really amazing. You see that very distinctive division between like AoE and single target build in this, so we have many choices, but usually this one is the go-to, like most single target damage with some AoE pressure, which is nice for VGs as always. And in this side of the tree you also take Spearhead, which basically is a charge that also deals some damage, but what it does, it increases the chance of kill command to reset by basically 35%, by 20%, and also what it does, it applies bleed of 35% of damage we dealt with Moongoose Bite, so this can stack up very nicely and deal some crazy amounts of damage with bleed, especially with all the modifiers we get from the, you know, the default hunter tree, and on top of that it also increases the damage of your pet. So like this is like one of our offensive cooldowns, which is very nice to have. In here we take Coordinated Assault. This is our main offensive cooldown because this allows us to use kill shots regardless of target's health, which is very important because kill shot is our most hitting ability. We can get to like hundreds of thousand damage with kill shots, like 110, 120 without problem. On cooldowns, and also reduces the cooldown on Wildfire Bombs. So this cooldown is actually very good if you still want to be at range with your enemies, because you can kill shot, you can Wildfire Bomb, you can kill command from afar, and you know, nobody can do anything to you while kiting. And if you want to go, you know, all in and just spam Moongoose Bites, then Spearhead is probably the way to go. Of course, always try to use the Death Chakram before it, because it increases your damage dealt by 10%. But we're going to get into the playstyle things in a second. We got still 3 nodes to cover. Ranger, this is very important. Kill shot, serpent sting, arcane shot, steady shot, and explosive shot deal 40% increased damage. 40% is a very significant amount, so you always need to take it. Coordinated kill, while coordinated assault is active, the cooldown of a Wildfire Bomb is reduced by 50%. Wildfire Bomb generates 10 focus when thrown. Kill shot cooldown is reduced by 50%, and kill shot can be used against any target regardless of their current health. So that's what I was explaining just in a second. We just want to spam those kill shots while off cooldown during this, and you know, throw some bombs, kill commands and stuff like that. And the last one is the Birds of Prey. You have 2 choices here. Bombardier is not really that great because, you know, Wildfire Bombs are good but not that good. Birds of Prey is actually amazing for BGs and both arena, because basically kill shot strikes up to 3 additional targets while Coordinated Assault is active. So while you are bursting, you're basically the most heavy hitter, can hit up to 3 targets, which is quite significant, honestly. Alright guys, just a quick look at the PvP talents as well. We always need to take Roar of Sacrifice. Basically we can use it while CC'd, and it decreases, not decreases, but actually prevents your targets against any crit damage against you, which is a nice defensive cooldown in itself, and it can be used while stunned, unless your pet is CC'd as well, but that doesn't count usually, unless there are some, you know, AoE CCs and stuff like that. So take this survival int tactics, then feint dead dispels or harmful magical effects and reduces damage taken by 90% for 1.5 seconds. So very nice thing to soak some damage in when you time it right, but usually, you know, it's just used to dispel, you know, some very heavy magical pressure from yourself. So also nice to have. And the last one is debatable. I don't know if it's even a word in English, but anyway, Mending Bandage, I love it because it heals you for 30% of your maximum health, which is quite high, over 6 seconds, but the most important thing, instantly clears all bleeds, poisons and diseases from your targets, usually yourself, in a very heavy DK, feral, sorry for that, rogue meta. This ability is basically a must-have, because even when you go into turtle, you can still die to dots, and with your magical dispel from survival tactics and other dispel from the Mending Bandage, you can actually avoid it, heal through it, and also when you still want to fight, no one to run away, aspect of a turtle, you are usually just waiting those 6 seconds, but then again you can just aspect of the turtle straight away into Mending Bandage, and then while you are standing and you are immune for 6 seconds, you are also healing yourself for 30% of maximum health, which is quite significant. So very like it. Although if you want to switch out, you can give up this one for the Chimera Sting, because this talent is also great. It's 1 minute cooldown, but it deals plenty of damage, and also applies 90% reduced movement speed, and then it silences the target, and at the end it reduces the damage and healing by the target by 20%. So for healers, it's amazing, if you ask me. So yeah, I think that we got all these things covered. Let's get into the gear. Now then, as for the gear, I decided to go mainly for crit and then haste. Of course, we always want to have versatility as our first stat, but then the secondary, I usually value the critical strike, then haste, and then mastery. Mastery basically gives us some healing and also increases the focus spending abilities, which basically means that it's Mungo's Bite mostly, you know, Serpent Sting, Kill Shot as well, Explosive Shot, so most of the abilities, but you know, the kiting ones like Wildfire Bomb, Kill Command are not actually considered by this, so it's not really that important. I prefer to have this high crit, which basically doubles my damage, all the damage I do, which is very fun, and you know, seeing those high numbers, that's what I live for basically. And yeah, haste just increases some of our cooldown regeneration, and yeah, like Kill Command and the Wildfire Bomb, which is nice. On top of that, of course, increases our attack speed and global cooldown speed, which basically makes the playstyle more smooth. Yeah, with gear out of the way, let's get into the preview. Alright guys, one more thing to mention, you always want to have for PvP some kind of raptor pet. Yeah, raptor is one of the best, but it can be like owl or, you know, some other brave bird, stuff like that. You know, what it does is basically the Savage Rend basically applies the Mortal Wounds, which is a MS effect, very important for healers, but also for, you know, other classes, just to reduce the incoming healing. And also our command ability is Master's Core, which basically removes all the roots and impairing effects from ourselves and grants immunity for them for 4 seconds. So basically it's a 4-second freedom, which is a must-have for PvP as well. Then we have 2 freedoms basically. One is Disengage and the second one is Master's Core, and both are on a relatively short cooldown, which helps quite a lot. Now then, as for the rotation, usually if you still have time, you know, you don't want to engage the battle straight away, I just usually, you know, send the pet in with Kill Command, throw some Bomb, Serpent Sting, another kill command, another bomb, and then I have to decide whether I go in or just want to, you know, still smash somebody from afar. If I do want to smash somebody from afar, it still deals some significant damage, you know. I just throw some bombs, blah blah blah, delay, then I use my spearhead, disengage, and I use my aspect of the eagle just to shoot those mongoose bites from afar. Then it applies the bleed dot, and I also have pretty good pressure in with it, and I can still kite away safely. So it lasts, also aspect of the eagle lasts like 12 seconds, so it's pretty long. Even when you finish, you can still use your bombs, apply Serpent Sting again, and then you either run away if you're in a bad spot, or you either, you know, go in with Coordinated Assault and finish them off. So that's very nice. Also, we have the explosive shot at your disposal. From afar, you get kill shot some from them time. So this is very good. We have a lot of charges, mostly in with the harpoon, and which is a very nice, and a coordinated assault as well. Other than that, before any burst cooldown, we want to put the death chakram on, and yeah, that's basically it. When it comes down to damage, we have a lot of utility in case of freezing, in case of danger, like you know, tar trap, which we can root enemies and then disengage from them, you know, freezing trap, binding shot, which basically stuns AoE, but they have to move away, but it doesn't matter that much. It also it roots actually, not stun. No, it stuns for 3 seconds. Because that was crazy. This one was actually saying that it's a root, but no matter. Yeah. So, you know, explosive shots, serpent stings, some bombs, kill commands. You will still need to a little bit do some micro managing your pet, because sometimes it tends to, I don't know, die, be CC'd and stuff like that, and then you cannot notice this, and it's going to be troublesome when you cannot use the kill command or flanking strike when you actually need it most, but you'll probably get used to it over time. But when you want to deal the most damage, I usually just, what I do, if I have some time, you know, apply my dots. If not, then I just do explosive shots, death chakram, kill command, coordinate assault, then the kill shot, flanking strike, kill shot, and just spam mongoose bite as much as possible, and use kill shots in between for the biggest damage. And the kill shots, one more, yes. That's it, guys. Like I said, if you want to burst somebody but you still want to keep that range, what I do is usually charge in with the coordinated assault or the spearhead, depends, and then disengage, pop aspect of the ego, and you can still deal plenty of damage from afar. There's nothing wrong with this, so always good to have like this option with disengage, especially that we have quite a lot of mobility and we can still deal damage from afar, so you know, it's not a big deal that much. Sometimes for BGs I also like to take the concussive shot, so I sacrifice some damage from here and go for the concussive shot, just to have that ranged daze, which is nice, you know, just to slow targets down from afar. Also in the fights in the beginning, always you want to use your intimidation. It's a 5-second stun, pretty long, so you have deal plenty of damage before enemy even notices. If it's like a warrior or something, you can, you know, only while in stun deal some damage from close range, flanking strike, mongoose bite. You see the stun is finishing, then pop your freezing trap, go far, and then start with explosive shots, serpent sting, and bomb. This way you will not deal damage and break the freezing trap, and you can still apply 3 dots without enemy freeing from the case, because as you can see, basically the Serpent Sting deals damage on appliance, so you still have some time to throw the bomb later on. And now he's gonna probably charge, jump on you, blah blah blah. You can still use your other things like root, AoE stun, disengage, feign death, just avoid him and, you know, continue kiting until he basically wastes all his cooldowns and you are free to kill him. Yeah, as for the defensive, like I said, if you are CC'd and you need something for defense, just use your Roar of Sacrifice from your pet. Other than that, if you start being focused in a fight on with cooldowns up from somebody else, just hit that survival of the fittest. Over half health usually already use my acceleration because it heals for 30% of your maximum health and another 20 over time, so you will probably not overcap it as well. And yeah, the last resort usually is just Aspect of the Turtle and then Mending Bandage. This is like a PvP talent. It's not on the global cooldown, so you can like even macro those two, but I prefer to have it on my individual bind because it's not always that in the turtle I want to heal, so and don't want to waste it. A lot of times, you know, Feral jumps on you, the stun's finished, just freeze him, use Mending Bandage straight away, so you not only heal up a lot of damage but also clear all his bleed and effects from yourself, so very nice to have. Just be careful when you still have some magic effects on you to hit that Mending Bandage because any damage will break it, so you have to be careful with that as well. So yeah guys, I think I covered most important things for playing a Survivor Hunter. This is a very nice class to play, very interesting. I enjoy it so much. Big damage, lots of utility and things that you can do to help your team in the BG, and do some crazy shit that can go later on YouTube, so that's very nice to have. Alright guys, so that's it for today. If you still haven't watched my previous montage from the Hunter, if you want to see how it rolls in action, then please check out the video that you still have on the screen. Thank you for the day and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.